Okay.
All right. All right, first up, we have minutes from 2 meetings to approve. June 22nd and June 8th. Anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes or make any modifications thereto?
I can make a motion to approve the minutes from June 8th and June 22nd.
Second,
I'll second them.
any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Do I have the right one? No, I don't. No, I do here. Yes, I do. Okay, up tonight.
Okay, so those two are still the first two are still pending. We received a communication from Housatonic Railroad saying that they would come in on the 27th. Hopefully they will try and get in touch with Jamie and or John to do the ride around. I have not heard anything back from
Mackinac
the
Terrace.
Mackinac Terrace folks.
They'll miss their whole summer.
Yeah. So I saw that Ben Levy, I'm not sure, I beg your pardon, is on for the Scenic Mountains Notice of Intent. Foresight is presenting that, so Jackson, is that you?
That is,
Go for it.
all right. It looks like you'd have to give me the host abilities to share the site plan on screen, but I can go ahead and get started without that if that's fine.
That's if we knew how to do that.
I think Steve did it, or the man.
You're all set, Jackson. Your co-host.
Thank you. All right, can you all see the site plan on screen here?
Yes.
This is a Scenic Mountain Act Notice of Intent for 2 Housatonic Road, or Housatonic Street in Stockbridge. That's map 103, lot 36. The applicant is Ben Levy and Eden Cardozo. The property is located within Scenic Mountain Act area number 7 of the Stockbridge Scenic Mountain Act mapping. And that's within the Housatonic watershed. The subject parcel outlined in orange here is a 17-acre parcel. It's an undeveloped lot with an existing 1.6 acre clearing and an existing gravel access road. The existing gravel access road is shown here in black. And the existing tree line shown in this bright green color. So the area inside that is the 1.6 acres that have been previously cleared. The remaining 15.4 acres of the property are densely forested and have a pretty thick understory of invasive vegetation like oriental bittersweet and honeysuckle and buckthorn. There are several BBWs on site shown in red here. These were roughly delineated in field and located with GPS. There's some intermittent streams that flow through the BBW and across Housatonic Road. There's another BBW located in the, southeasternmost corner of the parcel here, with another more major intermittent stream that runs down to the west of the property. And the buffer zones here are shown in this white dashed line. There's no natural heritage, floodplain, or areas of critical environmental concern on site. So what the proposed work entails is the proposed clearing, and that would be clear cutting and stumping of about 1.4 acres located roughly here, shown in this yellow bubbled line here. So the proposed work has been designed based upon the USDA best management practices provided in these two documents here, which are referenced under section 5.5 of the Stockbridge Scenic Mountain Act. So we have taken many of these best management practice conditions directly from those documents and applied them to this project in the interest of protecting the Scenic Mountain Act qualities of the area. In addition to this 1.4 acre proposed clear cutting area here, they're proposing a 1.4 acre and 0.8 acre area here and here for a total of 2.2 acres of selective trimming. For the selective trimming, it would be a total of 2.2 acres. And these two areas here have been chosen specifically because the high level of invasive species that are growing in the area and the fact that they're directly attached to the existing clearing and the proposed clearing areas. So the main goal of the selective trimming is to clear the understory and canopy of invasive vegetation, mostly oriental bittersweet and honeysuckle. In terms of selective trimming, it would be a minimum of 50% of the healthy native mature trees shall be preserved. So there'll be, by the end of things, will be at least 50% of trees over 6 inches in diameter that would be left remaining on site. And then the understory of invasive vegetation would be completely cleared. The trees obviously chosen to be removed versus kept would be done by a professional arborist ahead of time. So there's no confusion on what's to be cut and what's to be left. And none of that trimming or any of the clearing work is proposed within any of the 100-foot buffer zones of these BVWs and intermittent streams on site. In terms of erosion controls, we're proposing quite a few different measures, chief of which would be silt fence backed by straw bales at all down gradient points of any area that would be ground disturbance. So any trimming and clearing or stumping would be surrounded by erosion controls on the down gradient side. And those are shown on our site plan here in this dark dashed line. And they'll also be proposed between any buffer zone and area of disturbance. They'll also serve as the limit of proposed work. So where in those areas, those sensitive areas near BVW buffer zones, as well as just down gradient of the project, there'll be a strong line of erosion controls that'll serve as a limit of work for the contractor on site. And the contractor, of course, would have to monitor the site throughout the project, and any incidental erosion that does occur, they would have to deal with on site with additional erosion measures. And in our best management practices here, we name quite a few different erosion control measures, as well as in the narrative of the notice of intent, including silt fence backed by straw bales, tarps to cover any stockpiling of soil, reduction of steep slopes and avoiding disturbance on any slopes over 15%, and a crushed stone tracking pad entrance located here off of Housatonic Road. That would be a minimum of 50 feet long to prevent any mud and sediment tracking out onto the existing roadways. And any stockpiling of lumber or sediment should be located outside of any 100-foot buffer zone on site. Okay. As designed, we think the clearing and selective trimming work will not significantly impact the natural scenic qualities of the site. The areas chosen to be cleared are specifically chosen to be adjacent to the existing clearing and to maintain a significant level of screening vegetation between the proposed cleared area and the neighboring homes, as well as the neighboring roadways. So as designed, this will not be very visible from any of the surrounding homes nor the roadway. There'll be a minimum of at least 300 linear feet of dense forest between the edge of even the selective trimming and the nearest home. So we believe clearing this area for future development won't have any significant impacts upon the qualities protected by the Scenic Mountains Act.
Jackson, did you say there's going to be additional development? Is that what I just heard? Is this for one building, multiple buildings, development?
Yep, this will be in the future, hopefully for a single family home is the intention.
But it could be for more.
Yeah.
So if they could subdivide it, they could, do it.
Let's say clear cut.
If you'd like to make it a condition of the order of conditions that the lot won't be subdivided for multiple families, I think that would potentially be agreeable. But yeah, the intention is for to build a potentially buildable site for a future single family home at some point.
So I have a few questions, Jackson.
Sure.
Talk to me about the original cutting. Was that under Scenic Mountains? And when was it done? I mean, there's already a significant clearing there and a driveway.
Yep, this from what I can know, this is not a legal driveway as of right now. It's not like it doesn't have a curb cut permit, so it's just a means of accessing the site. So to build any kind of driveway there, they would need a special permit for the steepness and the length. So they'd have to go for the planning board for that. As for the current clearing, I can't speak to whether the current owners, Kevin and Kristen Zimmer, were, if they filed a notice of intent under the Scenic Mountain Act. I'm not sure.
I would want to know that because that's important. If they've already cut, if they didn't do it with a notice of intent, that's an issue. But if they've already cut under the Scenic Mountains and now they want to cut 2-point-something more acres, that's significant. I also want to know the slope where it's being cut,
The slope in the clear cutting area.
the slope where they plan to clear cut, yeah.
And where it is cut now.
Yep, it does get up to, in some points, around 10% grade and 15% grade. But under our best management practices that we know on the site plan, as well as within the notice of intent, those areas of 15% slope and greater should be avoided at all costs to prevent any erosion.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see anything greater than 10% be cut. And that's consistent with the Scenic Mountains Act in terms of erosion. Another question, how many trees are we talking? You keep saying percentage. How many trees are you taking down?
We don't have a quantity for that. The Scenic Mountain Act refers to acreage in terms of cutting. It presumes anything over a quarter acre
Right.
is subject to the Scenic Mountains Act. So we don't have a quantity of trees to be cut currently. That's probably something that could be provided by the arborist when that work is done, when they just mark all the trees to be cut.
I would like to see what's being cut, by species and by number. And and I also would like to consider some replanting in the area that's already been cut. Because you're taking down a lot of trees.
That could be potentially agreeable. I believe the idea with clearing this additional area would be to set the house further back from the roadway and the existing houses there, and to maintain a significant level of vegetation around it to screen from the rest of the area. Currently, 90% of the, or 91% of the site is still forested. And with this clearing, it would be an additional, it would be an additional 10% cleared. So it would be still the vast majority of the property would remain forested, but I think
It's still a lot of, I still would like to see by species, how many are coming down.
I think that
Next, is this clearing so they have a view?
I think putting the house further up the hill here would provide them with somewhat more of a view, but as you can see, the channel of clearing here is relatively thin, so they would be able to look through that area, but the majority of the property to the west of down gradient of the proposed area of clearing will still be forested.
If they get a view, where do we see them from?
Well,
That's the main question.
Correct. I
a little bit.
don't particularly well from anywhere except for possibly all the way down on Prospect Hill Road. You might be able to catch a glimpse, or right at the base of the driveway, perhaps. But
This is live?
we believe leaving all these areas of selective trimming, 50% of the current forest will maintain a significant level of screening.
So,
Patrick?
So the bylaw, 6.6 of the bylaw states that you guys, unless there's a clear demonstration on the contrary, that clearing of contiguous lands totaling more than 1/4 of an acre damages natural scenic
Yep.
qualities and causes erosion.
Yes.
So they have to demonstrate that this clearing, which is something like 10 times as big as what the bylaw allows,
Yep.
is not going to do what the findings must. You have to clear evidence. It doesn't do that. And beyond that, any work on slopes over 15% causes erosion and promotes flooding and damage.
Yep.
Water quality. And I would just suggest that if there's a view to anywhere, then from anywhere to the greater view, you can see it back. I mean.
yeah, so we need a site visit.
We need a site visit. We may also need a balloon.
And I want the,
Balloon? This world is crazy. We'll never sell that
Something
easily.
we've done before. We could.
The iPad.
A balloon?
Who is that?
It's iPad.
Just got muted. So a balloon is something that we do fairly often when we have this kind of thing. We put a balloon up on a scenic mountain site to see if we can see it from somewhere else.
We would, foresights, we have several of those and we could arrange for that, when we could put that balloon at the maximum roof height of a house in this zoning district, which I guess would be 35 feet, I believe.
Right, exactly.
We could arrange for that, for a site visit. But just to respond a little bit to what Patrick was saying, we believe under the guidance provided within the Berkshire Scenic Mountain Act by the USDA, with these best management practices, we believe we'll be able to contain any kind of erosion and prevent any significant impact to the scenic qualities of the site, and prevent any erosion from entering wetlands, protected areas.
well, not if it's 15% slope.
Right.
Jackson, you have to demonstrate, the bylaw states that you have to demonstrate. It asks the commission to assume that 50% will cause erosion and that clear cutting more than 1/4 acre damages natural scenic qualities. You have to demonstrate otherwise, or they have to deny. So I would just suggest that, like, the bar is set higher specifically in the bylaw than just what your opinion is. You have to demonstrate to the contrary what, those two issues are, how they're going to be addressed.
So,
And Jackson, can I ask a question, Jackson? how far approximately is this clearing to the lake? And can you tell me how many acres you wanted to clear in the yellow area again?
This clear cut area would be, as we have it shown here, 1.4 acres approximately
No, altogether, the total area,
altogether.
please.
The, well, 3.6
Thanks.
total of alteration.
Okay.
2.2 of that being selective trimming, with remaining 50% of the.
And how big is the
And a-
site?
Oh, sorry.
Just wanted to catch that.
17, I think.
17 acres,
And how big is the previous clearing?
1.6.
Okay, so if, for the site visit, if you can please bring the history on that cutting, I'd appreciate it.
I will do my best, but the Scenic Mountain Act notice of intent records are not kept.
But even if you know when it was cut, I mean, Scenic Mountain was what, 1996?
From what I can tell in aerial photography, it happened sometime between 2006 and 2008. So it would be, we'd have to find something in that time period in terms of an order of conditions.
We keep records.
So it's a potential violation if they didn't go through Scenic Mountains, if they didn't do a notice of intent for that cutting.
Our records are very complete on that.
That would be helpful if you had any information on it. Because all we have really to go off is our records in the registry. So if they didn't record it, we wouldn't have it.
And one
You
last thing,
free tomorrow morning to come into the office?
Me?
Jackson, are you free to come into the office tomorrow morning?
It would depend what time.
It would be up to you.
Yeah, I could come in sometime relatively early if that works for you. I just have somewhere to be probably around 9 a.m.
I can come in whenever is good for you.
Yeah, 8:30 or so would probably work.
It's fine. I'd like to go over the special conditions for the lake harvesting
Mhm.
with you, to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
And we can look in the files to see if we can find anything on the Scenic Mountain Act for previous clearing. My memory, I have no memory of that.
Okay.
So, but that isn't 100%.
and
Oh, go ahead.
one last question, Jackson. The rationale they give for not wanting to use the site, the current site, is that it would be visible, the house would be visible. So I guess I would want to know what can be done on that current site to make a house not visible. There's probably things that can be done.
I think it's
And-
get a better view.
Yeah, which is
Obviously,
not,
it's a little-
And
Yeah,
Jackson, I'm
so-
sorry, I don't know if you know, but how far is this site that's to be cleared to the distance to the lake approximately?
I'm not positive. It would be well over 1,500 feet. The site is located right in this area where the word locus is, and then you can see Stockbridge Bowl over here.
Thank
So-
you.
I can get a more exact figure on that for you though.
You have an idea, Jackson, of what the elevation is in that area?
Yep, it is right around 1,200, which I believe is on the MA 83 datum.
Thank you.
Sally, I'm sorry, I just was thinking about tomorrow morning. Is there any way tomorrow afternoon would be possible, or are you only?
No, I'm sorry. I'm working tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. All right. We'll just plan for 8. Would 8 a.m. be fine then?
8 a.m. is fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Are any of the, Jackson, are any of the streams perennial?
Oh, nope. There's no mapped perennial streams or perennial streams that we've observed on site. There's a very small intermittent stream that kind of originates from this BBW here and then crosses under the street. And then there's another stream, slightly larger stream along the southern property line here, but no perennial streams.
There are a lot of springs up there.
Yeah, there are some spots where water just seems to be bleeding out of the side of the hill in this BVW area. So anytime the commission wants to set a site visit, we'll be ready for that.
Jackson, can we let it dry out a little bit first?
Sure.
Not this week, maybe next week,
Next week would be better.
Friday?
Reasonable.
Next Friday, yeah.
A week from this Friday sometime, that work?
Do some,
Yeah, I can't do that one.
it would be
I
the,
can't do that one.
23rd.
Do we always do Friday?
No,
Do like
do
a
another
Thur-
day if you want.
Do it. Do we ever-
Thursday?
Thursday afternoon, is that ever possible?
I'm retired.
Okay, Thursday
the
afternoon.
22nd,
Jackson, how about Thursday afternoon?
the
A week from-
22nd.
Would be great. Thank you.
22nd.
22nd at what time? I should be available.
10 o'clock
Oh, it's that afternoon.
Afternoon,
afternoon, 1:30.
Perfect.
thank you.
1:30 and quit.
That would be-
22nd?
Yeah. Mhm.
What is exactly, two Housatonic?
To Housatonic, spelled.
Yeah, I see, is there a marker or there's no number on there, I'm
Or
sure?
Housatonic is marked. We've been there recently.
It's right as you come up this road here. It's pretty easy to spot as you're coming in, as you come up. Whenever.
It's recently cleared.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
kind of walked around.
And just so you know, we received a phone call from somebody about clearing recently. So the neighbors are thinking about it.
Yes, we've had some communication with some of the abutters as well.
And we really need to know whether there's any history. We can look tomorrow morning, but we need to know if there's any history on the previous owners doing cutting.
We'll see if we can dig something up.
Thank you.
All right.
Just to make sure, 22nd at 1:30.
Yep.
Up on the hill.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else you want to tell us about this? Soon to be unwooded area?
Unless the commission has
Maybe
any other
not,
questions.
maybe not. Fighting for this one.
Yeah, well, we're trying. Okay,
Excuse me, this is Peter Angaro. I'm the abutter on the north side at 8 Housatonic. I was wondering if I could just ask a quick question.
you can.
I guess I'm not familiar with how the Conservation Commission operates or what the next steps would be. It sounds like there's going to be a site visit. I guess I wonder would there be another hearing after that where the abutters would also be involved in the discussion, or would there be some decision made, or how would that typically work from this point?
Yes, there would be another meeting after the site visit. And
And
yes,
is the
yes,
site visit,
it'll be a public hearing. The public hearing has not been closed, so this is still an open project. I'm sorry.
okay, and is the site visit also public, or is that not public?
It is at the discretion of the landowner.
Okay, then it's not necessary. If it's not typically designated as public, it's not necessary. But if it was going to be open to the public, I might attend, but that's fine.
If the landowner gives you permission, then yes, you may, but they do have the right to say no.
There's no reason for that. Thank you very much.
You do, I think that there's language in here about you are required to continue to a date certain, so I would suggest you do that.
Well, it's continued to our next meeting,
Okay, well, that's something.
which is the 27th.
So we got to vote on that.
Yeah. You want to just preserve your rights, that's all I'm saying.
It is continued to the next meeting, which is the 27th.
Okay.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Jackson.
tomorrow morning.
I'm coming.
Huh?
Sure, if you want to. 8 o'clock. So National Grid, they are reviewing and redesigning their installation of the electric poles on Rattlesnake Mountain Road. It appears they did not do their due diligence when they designed this project. So they are having to redesign it. At great irritation to the landowner, I might add.
That was my impression.
Yeah, that's one.
I read something about that.
Yes, I did. I read something about that in the newspaper today. The elderly couple.
It played better.
So the deal is that they are installing 4 poles along Rattlesnake Mountain Road to access a new house that has been being built at 10 Rattlesnake Mountain Road. Along the north side of Rattlesnake Mountain Road, there is considerable amount of wetlands that is really a drainage ditch, but it's nevertheless wetlands. There are also many mature trees on the north side of Rattlesnake Mountain Road, along with an electrical line that, it's a low voltage electrical line that goes from the monitoring station down at the Beaver Dam to the Tennessee gas pipeline. So the idea that they were going to put the poles on the north side of the road in the wetland, potentially cutting the electric wires, which they did not know existed, by the way, and needing to perpetually trim these mature trees did not seem to make nearly as much sense as putting it on the south side of the road where there's no electrical line, there are no mature trees, and there is no wetland. However, it is going to cost the homeowner probably another $7,000 to do that because it's, $7,000 a pole.
Oh dear.
These are pretty expensive poles.
Yeah,
Ask an insurance person how much a pole is.
pretty expensive. So anyway, they will be back to us on the 27th.
Before we do performance standards, can we talk about?
Yes, can, it's on the.
No, I know, but before that, can we talk about 19 Lakeview? Where they-
19 Lakeview Drive, Patrick and I visited that last week,
Yeah, I went to,
and maybe it was this week. No, it was
It's on
last
Tuesday.
week. Today is Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
It was last week, and we were slightly horrified by what we saw.
it was,
It has been clear cut, which was, again, not what we expected to happen. And I don't know if Jackson is still on, but it is a foresight project. I meant to bring the files up with me, but I didn't.
19 Lake.
Lakeview, it's in Beechwood. It's right next to, there are 2 houses on either, there's a house on either side that we have done site visits on. One was the one with the,
Pesticide can.
yeah. And the other one was the one with the funky driveway. So the funky driveway seems to be actually pretty surprisingly good. It was the one that was kind of
Yeah.
the wiggle
Yeah.
one. They're
Cut back.
they're in demolition at the moment. But, so there's debris toward the lake, but it's not a bad, it worked out better than I thought it would, actually. But the property in between those 2 houses is, they do have adequate silt beds at the bottom of the slope, but,
sort of.
yeah, pretty much. As compared to 20 Mackinac Shores Road, which is a disaster. But again, it comes down to us not understanding the process of how they're going to go about doing what they say they're going to do.
That was a steep slope.
It is a steep
no
slope and it is
vegetation.
now clear from the road down to, I would say, 50 feet from the lake.
When I went and looked, everything was just going.
It's just gone.
downhill.
It's
It
gone.
was bad. It was really bad.
This is the 20.
This,
No,
no,
19.
19 Lakeview Drive,
So we got two of them down there that are to complete disasters, not in the same area, but
right. So you saw, I took pictures, but I have no idea what happened to them.
I took pictures.
They disappear, oh, good. They disappeared off my phone. So we also looked at 20 Mackinac Shores Road, which was there, every single silt fence had failed. And the folks, the ladies who were down there working, when we went down, I said, this is really bad. You need to call the homeowner and they need to fix it right away. And they said, oh, well, we'll call as soon as we leave because we don't have cell service, which was a little bit of a mystery to me because I had perfectly good cell service, but in any case. But every silt fence had failed to one degree or another. There was water going under every single silt fence. There was water going directly into the lake. As you look down the slope on the right-hand side, it was a torrent between that property and Bill and Tom's place. The pea stone that we saw along the
little walkway.
little walkway
landings.
was
It's
in the
missing.
lake.
Coming from the top of the hill.
Yeah, it was in the lake.
That should be fine.
We received a note from the attorney of record, Lori Robbins, who had received a note from the land homeowner saying, oh, it wasn't bad. I wrote back, and said, not from my perspective, it was. So everything that we feared and everything that we talked about when we were on site has happened. And of course, it was a particularly violent storm. But nevertheless, that should be designed for, that's what I couldn't remember. That's what I couldn't remember. In the performance standards, I want them to design for a 100-year storm.
100 years, what did they say in the municipal, 100-year storm is now a 10-year storm.
Right, exactly. But I want in the performance standards, if you could please add that the design should be for a 100-year storm.
Okay, well, we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can do it.
I was trying to remember, I said to Patrick, you've got to help me remember this. And then I forgot it again. That was it. It was what, they were down there putting in little plants.
They're probably floating somewhere now.
I don't know,
They have to be.
or
dead.
they're dead. They were drowned. There
They
was,
weren't doing well when we were there a few weeks ago.
right, and they were putting in new little single plants. It's not the ground cover that we need in order to stabilize that
Yeah.
area. It's everything we were afraid would
We
happen.
get them back here?
Sally, how about stabilization control mats? They can plant right through it. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
They certainly need something because
If it's that critical, that close.
it's that bad. You should go
Stop
look
it.
at it. It's a nightmare.
So can we get them back here to talk about this?
What are our choices or options?
Fining.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you talked to him yet, then yet?
Have I? No.
He called you, I think, last week,
No,
He who,
so
the owner.
He did not call me.
My
did
cell
not call
service
me.
was through Canada
Okay. I would, I can.
at
give
$5
you-
a ring.
I would just suggest that you touch base with them and just give him a sense of what your expectations are. And then if he isn't able to do them, then I think that.
But haven't we done
I think
that?
we've done that already.
but why wouldn't that be in a public meeting? So it's on record?
Right.
I was talking about I think you should go on the agenda and you should come and talk to him before you find him.
Yeah, no,
No,
before we find them, but I think.
But
it
I
should
was
be a
asking
public meeting.
options. So I wasn't saying we're taking action. I'm just saying, what are our options and how do we do it? Now, does
We
it
could
make
have
a
another
difference
inch of
that,
rain tomorrow.
He seemed to think that there were no issues with this project down there. There was nothing wrong with what, only the top silt fence had failed. The landowner.
No, he understands it's bad. We also got what?
He does not understand it's
not.
bad. That's what he told his lawyer. I can send you the email.
and Sally, just because, I'm sorry, the planning board, had voted yes for the house part. Does that affect us and what options we have to take action?
No.
Okay, so it's separate. Oh, good. Okay.
So I think it makes sense to have Jackson or somebody back here to review it and say
We
what
want to
we
wait
want
the
them.
2 weeks.
Well, I copied Steve Mack on the email and with the pictures. And Lori Robbins, the attorney. And she got in touch with the homeowner, the potential homeowner. And he seemed to think that there were no problems on site.
Look, if you think that, my point isn't about whether or not he's right or you're right. My point is just that 2 weeks from now, we could get another couple inches of rain between now and then. If you think there's a problem where there's erosion going into the lake, I would suggest somebody call him or call Lori or call Steve or call one of them and outline what emergency measures we think need to be taken so that, you know, more of it doesn't end up in the lake.
But is that our protocol? That doesn't seem like protocol.
Yes, it can be.
It can be.
We can issue an enforcement order at this
Okay.
point, stating that this is what they have to do to stabilize the site.
Okay.
I think that makes sense. And maybe do a site visit before the next meeting to see if they did it.
I'm gonna do a drive-by tomorrow.
You want me to meet you?
You gotta
We'll
talk over it.
go after
All right,
we see Jackson, we'll go over and take a look at it and we'll decide what we think they need to do in order to
Sorry about
stabilize
that.
it.
Same for 19 Lakeview. I mean,
yes.
to me, that's even worse.
We'll run by 19 Lakeview. We'll look at the plans tomorrow morning before we go and see what they look like.
I can't imagine you approved.
I'm sorry?
I can't imagine that you approved everything being cleared from that.
That was recent too, because it was a
It was recent.
512 number, which is, we're at 518 with the harvesting, so it was recent. I think it was April when I looked it up. So we have to look at that too.
Thank you.
So. And 19 in Lakeview. So we need to talk about email communication. You wanted to know about that.
Yeah, just some clarity on, there's emails that come up and I don't want to answer them. I don't know who answers.
I do.
them. You do.
Yeah, but I don't get them all, which is odd.
Who's your carrier?
I'm sorry.
Who's your carrier?
Well, I should get it through the town, but there were ones when I came in and plugged my computer in the
Yeah.
downstairs, there were a few that I had not seen on my Outlook at home.
Okay.
Peculiar. But anyway, because I think the changing over of the, and there were also ones here that I got at home that weren't here.
Yeah, I noticed when I moved to Stockbridge, that's happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
I used to get everything. Now people, I find that I
Sent
don't
ones,
get them.
when I was looking for what I had advertised already for the next meeting, which was the 4 Cove Lane and the 6 Mackinac Road, those ones had not showed up on the server here, but I had them at home. So the sent ones weren't there.
Okay.
But then they showed up while I was down there. So it's, I don't know, unpredictable.
So just knowing you're the point person.
Yes.
You respond, that was my main question.
Did Mark Volk call you last week?
No.
Twice.
He called you? He didn't call me. He knows where to find me.
About this?
It's $5 every time I answer the phone.
Okay.
And I was on vacation.
So,
Canada?
Yeah,
Wow.
and I wasn't in Canada.
performance standards.
It's close as cell tower was.
Well, you did a nice job of formatting. Thank you. And then, did you
Well,
send
here's
it?
a question. Roxanne's been kind of out. She's had some other personal reasons. We need to get authorization either from the select board or just from the general, like, line item for legal, or from, I don't know if the Conservation Commission fund from the fees can be used for this. But Donna basically needs a small budget to go ahead with reviewing them. So she hasn't done anything yet. She's waiting for somebody to approve the budget. And I haven't gotten it on the agenda because Roxanne's been sort of not.
What are we reviewing now?
The performance standards.
Oh, okay,
is-
okay, all
What the
right.
next step was, it needs to go to Donna.
Yeah.
But Donna's saying someone has to authorize her to do it. So the money either has to come from us or from you, whichever one is path of least resistance. I couldn't care less, but, you know,
Do we have any sense of what that might cost?
I had no idea. but
Because
I
we
think
were
it's a
just-
couple hours of work.
Just,
$500?
we
Did
just,
we use our money for the study? Weren't we gonna do it for the
yeah,
study?
we were gonna,
Tom,
have
Tom Cruise.
some money for Tom Coot doing the plant survey.
You don't have to. I mean, I can get it on our agenda, but I know it's not on Thursday, so it's gonna be at least a week for the select board. And that's if Roxanne puts it on. The chairman controls the agenda, obviously.
Are we close enough? Do we have any more to add to it?
Just the 100-year storm. We'll put that in.
The only thing I had an issue with, when I get a jurisdictional, I don't have enough information on half those jurisdictionals.
I got it down here on this.
Yeah,
I was just looking at that. Yeah, there's things that are not checked. You don't know where the wetlands, if any, are
Yeah.
at. Nothing.
I didn't have that drawing in your right hand.
So you
All I had
can't,
was an address.
you can't do anything
So that's,
unless somebody.
it's like 3 site visits
Yep.
to say, yeah, you're all right, or no, you're not.
You want this?
Add it.
It also,
We have a form that I've given to Ned that says that should be handed out from the building inspector's office that I drafted years and years ago. It says what we expect to have when we get a
But
jurisdictional.
we attach it to this.
If you get it,
Yeah.
you already
I'll try and,
Where I was
I'll try
going,
and
yeah.
find it
Yeah.
and I will send it.
And well, yeah, send it to Patrick to attach to this.
in this case, excuse me, in this case, they're applying for a notice of intent with no map. We don't know where the wetlands are, so.
Yeah, I
Oh,
took it down. I
I
just-
think the short answer is it goes back to them and say, do a complete application.
But now I'm getting, because, well, that was
Well, then
4
they,
weeks ago. I said, wow. No,
I mean, you know,
and it could be 2 weeks more.
But it's on them
Well,
to get you the information.
I'll go, I'll drive by again. I know what they're doing now. I'll look at it and say, yeah, no, yes or no.
Can't two people look at it and sign about it? So
Yeah. It's gonna be marked out tomorrow, so.
So you're going to bring it to the select board? Is that
What
what-
do you want me to? I'm asking.
Yeah. What, the select board?
Well, I mean, I gotta try to get it. I'll go over with Michael. You know, I talked to him about it once, and he's closing the books for the year. They're due like the 15th, so I'll try to put it back on top of mind.
Yeah, okay.
And if
If
not,
there's a problem, we'll take it from work.
then.
They have to get some money.
With regard to the Tom thing, well, are we done with the performance answer, or you, everybody else there?
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
Is Tom gonna double Judy, because I think you have to check for milfoil. Is that part of the same project?
No,
Because it should be, if he's going on the lake, why not do both?
Is that?
I mean, I don't know if Roxanne has a plan for that or the SPS.
I thought it was through GZA and Jackson. I thought that was
No, that's
the
the
milfoil.
No connection.
GZA and Jackson are the harvesting.
Right, but I thought they were somehow a part of it.
It's very important that an accurate plant survey
Mhm.
be confirmed.
Mhm.
Because otherwise,
I thought that that was part of what we were asking Tom to do for us.
I understand, but there's sort of like the need to do it for the herbicide settlement. But then this project of like a plant and animal survey or whatever, I think is an extension of what we did in Woolly Brook last year, 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
But we're also required to do it it has to be done for the harvesting. We have to do a survey
Okay.
of the plants. Right? And we have to report back to Natural Heritage, I believe. As part of their requirement.
Yes, that was part of their original requirement, yeah.
Yes.
So,
So we need stem counts during the survey. A floating meter square will be used to determine community composition, using both visual estimates of surface coverage, stem counts, and photo documents of the meter square. Number of samples will be a minimum of 3 for each of community encountered.
Right, but that was the whole lake treatment ecological restoration plan from last year. And what she told Jackson was that they hadn't updated those requirements for the nuisance vegetation permit, which was drastically scaled down to less than 10 acres. And Missy had told Jackson that she would update her thing when they got around to it. That there isn't an expectation at the town that those requirements are going to apply to the nuisance vegetation permit, which is only 8 acres of total harvesting that we're looking for a permit on. Last year when we applied, it was a whole lake harvesting plan.
Right.
And that was the same condition she said. And she said because she hadn't seen the new notice of intent, that her comments were the same as last year until something or other. But it's apples to oranges. I mean, you know, look at
I haven't
it.
seen, I mean, they received the
the new notice of intent?
Yeah.
They received the notice of intent, they received the requirement for them to comment. They received Foresight's revisions, and they had, I believe, 10 days to reply or revise, which they did not do.
Right.
So
So
the original
this
standard.
is why
No, but Forsyth's was
this is why I need to meet with Jackson.
Okay.
To double check that this language is still valid or not before I issue this this order of
The
condition.
language from the original, yeah.
This is the language
The
from,
language is from Forsyth's revisions, because I don't
this
think.
is the language from Natural Heritage.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just saying that if we're required to do diving and required to do like all the crazy things, not crazy, all the detailed requirements for the aquatic lawn mowing that we're doing here, it's gonna kill the project. And I believe that's not in the town's interest, but I understand that you guys have a different set of, you know.
Well, we just need to make sure that when it goes to them,
Them who?
that they're not gonna say, So we need to be sure that the language in the special conditions is acceptable to natural heritage, because
Isn't that what we sent them?
we are required to send the order of conditions to them to be reviewed.
Did
So,
we do that with his revised?
yes. But we need to be very careful, I think, that our
He,
I's are dotted and our T's are crossed when this goes back to them, because otherwise they may throw it out. And we want this to go through so it can get started.
Yeah.
But if I understand correctly, if they didn't respond to his revisions, then we still have to go by the first one.
I think so.
The first letter that they sent.
I mean, we don't have to do what they say, technically speaking.
Really?
No, we don't. But they then have the right to come back and do a superseding order.
I've never seen a conservation commission not go by what natural heritage says.
So do you think that,
What was that?
why don't you, let's just, what are some of the natural heritage conditions that are on there?
Okay, target of harvesting. The proposed mechanical harvesting will target areas with dominant microphyllum spiccatum, which is the Erosion, whorled, or spiked water milfoil.
Okay, so right there, let's stop right there. That was the whole lake. If we're only targeting milfoil, which there almost is none, and the curly pondweed, I think is the other one that's listed there, then that was in one tiny little corner of the lake down by the island, then we might as well just not waste our time here, because there's no
I understand that.
vegetation to harvest if we're only targeting those two species, which aren't even there, you know?
No, I understand that, but that's why I need to talk to Jackson.
Okay.
That's why I need to go through this with him, because the new notice of intent does not specify that it's going to be invasive species that we're going to be taking. And my understanding is that Heritage understood that this new order of conditions, or this new notice of intent, was meant to provide relief for the folks who live around the lake from having
For anybody who
both
votes.
native
That's what
and
he
non-native.
verbalized.
So
That's
it's
what he
not the
said.
nuisance
Right.
Yeah, that's why it's 10 acres.
Instead of invasive.
Right,
Right, that's what he said at the last meeting.
Yes.
And he said that she would be sending a letter saying that. So I'm thinking,
Right.
unless you get a letter saying that, I mean, I don't think.
but the thing is, that Patrick's point is that they're not responding to the notice of intent as it was presented.
Yes, that is my point. And I don't know what to do about it because it's already the end of middle of July. How long are we gonna wait before it's all moot again? I mean, we look at, these conditions are good for 3 years. I guess we could just keep working on this for next summer, but this is kind of, but keep going down the list here.
So I think that the strategy is, and I could be wrong, but I think that the strategy is to go with what was presented to them in this new notice of intent that they did not really respond to accurately, and be as circumspect as we can possibly be, pointing out that this is such a small percentage of the surface area of the lake. It's only 2% of the surface area of the lake. And that we are not only targeting invasive species, but also native species that are in particular areas, very specific areas. There, it's listed as to where those are going to be. They're in, the major,
It's around the boat, the beaches, the boat ramp. and
beaches,
now
the boat ramp, the boat club, the camp, Perpalu, the high volume areas, plus a one pass around various docks and one down through
Which you
the.
can't even do now because the docks are all underwater.
So
Can't even see them.
do you ever, I mean, I have to say, I've never seen a commission not go by what natural heritage says, first of all, but that's.
Well, if Natural Heritage had responded to the notice of intent as it was presented, we would, but they didn't.
But do you ever reach out to them and say, why didn't you respond?
We have. I mean, Jackson has, and he's the applicant on behalf of the
I didn't
town.
hear him say that, he said that tonight, that he's contacted?
Well, he's copied us on the letter that he sent. So either way, it's gonna go back to them in one form or another. And they're going to either approve what we send, or they're going to say no, and they're going to issue a superseding order of some kind.
Okay, so what you talk about with Jackson tomorrow will still go back to Natural Heritage?
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, it'll go out in the order of conditions and we'll go to them, because they specifically said it has to go to them. So they will review whatever we write, and they'll either agree with it or they won't.
And what's the time frame there?
They have 10 days.
And then, so will the harvesting?
So if they don't respond, if
Hear
they
back
don't
from
respond within 10 days, it goes as is.
Okay. As long as they have another opportunity to see.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
And then on the other one, I think it'd be helpful to review the order, the superseding order conditions the state did on the Riverside. And if we're having Tom go out on the lake to do this work, because I know that, I don't know if you guys, I don't know who's managing this. If it's Michael or Roxanne or SPSC or the Conservation Commission, but if somebody's gonna go out, somebody has to make sure that those order conditions, which I believe is 50% milfoil in the target areas in the control area. So not only does it have to be present, but it has to be 50% of the plant community, I believe. You know, and Roxanne was on the boat, and what she said was when they were going out, you know, that the salty person was just pointing at the water, saying that's milfoil, that's milfoil, that's milfoil. And we heard from our experts back when we had our hearings that you have to take samples and you have to basically, you know, get out of the boat and look. And I want to just make sure that the conditions have been met before anybody starts putting any herbicide in the water.
Well, the thing that it's in the minutes from the last meeting, just so you know. The thing, if they did not get off the boat and they did not take physical samples, they don't know whether it's Eurasian water milfoil or whether it's native milfoil. They have to take it out and look at it and tell.
Well, they do in theory, but they're also working directly with DEP. And if they make a claim, DEP is not going to confirm what claims they make. I want to independently confirm whatever it is that they're about to claim to DEP.
Well,
because they have salted out in a boat and they're going to say, here's all the data points in the milfoil, and then they're going to treat it, and miraculously next year, there's going to be no milfoil. It worked.
But they would not give the town the data points?
I don't know.
No, that's what Roxanne said. They would not give us the data points, and they did not take actual samples. They just stood in the boat, looked down and said, that's where there's milfoil there, but there's no way that they could possibly have known whether it was native milfoil or Eurasian milfoil.
My suggestion is that of all the various boards in town who've been involved in this, you guys have the most experience dealing with orders of conditions, be they superseding or not. And so it's very important that somebody with knowledge of how they work is involved in making sure the town's interest is covered here. Because, you know, I'm a little bit concerned that, you know, I mean, I don't have the expertise to look at, you know, the order conditions and make sure it's the right kind of plant, you know, but we're going to need to make sure and soon that this analysis is done and it's done independent.
All right. As far as I'm concerned, and I don't know if there was any discussion on this or if there might be an issues, but the monies that we have from the fees could go for hiring Tom Coots.
That's right.
Wherever he needed.
Right.
Yes, it's the money that we get from our wetland filing fees may only go toward upholding the Wetlands Protection Act.
So.
Is that or no?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're covered with.
I know, but maybe who here is going to own talking to Michael and talking to Roxanne and coordinating with Tom? Like, I think that conservation should really have a point person who is, this is really important.
I've already talked to Michael. I've already talked to Roxanne. The only one I haven't talked to is Tom Coots.
Well, I just don't know that. I'm just asking if, yeah.
I wanted to make sure they were okay with it and coordinate whatever, you know, I can't just say, write a check. You know, that's not.
Darn. Neither can I. There's enough power.
Well, except that it's our money and they have no say over how we spend it.
Well, I want okay.
Yeah, but might as well
You know,
do
I'm appointed here.
No, I mean, I think I certainly think.
Fire me if you want, but.
I certainly think it's wise to apprise them of what we are planning to do with our money. But they cannot control it. It's.
No, but nobody's trying to. I think that they're
No, I
playing
know,
all
I
over to
understand that.
use the conservation funds to do this work. I just want to make sure it gets scheduled.
Yeah, we want it done. We want to pay for it.
Yep.
And we want to verify,
Disagreements.
we need to and want to verify whatever goes to DEP in terms of reporting. I mean, I think that we said originally, the thing that we're most concerned about is that we've got the fox, the fox guarding the hen house here.
Roxanne, I don't know how long ago it was. Roxanne went in the boat with Solitude, what, 3-4 weeks ago? And once they get the information to DEP, that test is supposed to happen, which means the herbicide goes in the lake. So somebody needs to make sure that our guy gets out there.
Right away.
Right away, yeah. If we're gonna do this, it is really time
We
sensitive.
haven't even buoyed those sections yet.
I talked to people around the county through those nice gentlemen at the Berkshire County League of Sportsmen, and go up and hear what's going on at Cheshire Lake and Pontusic Lake and the unbelievable applications that are going on at these places that are totally not consistent with DEP guidance. And I'm just saying that.
Get it. But they have to do a stem count first. They have to do the stem count. They have to verify that they've got more than 50% of the Eurasian milfoil and or curly pondweed. I'm not even sure that the curly pondweed was included in
It's
the
the original.
original.
No.
It has to be 50% Eurasian milfoil, or they can't do the test plot. Now, there was some question about whether they were going to move the test plots and whether if they move the test plots, will they move it to a place where they think that they're going to get the 50%? But the harvesting, this was all tied to the harvesting. If the harvesting has to avoid the places where they're going to do the test plots, they have to tell us where they're going to move them. They haven't told us where they're going to, if or where they're going to move them. They haven't put out the buoys to the best of my knowledge. So the harvester, once this goes through, is going to have to go by the original order of conditions and where those test plots were scheduled to be.
Yeah. I get it. I'm just saying.
So for now, where those test plots were scheduled to be is going to have to be the place where we're going to have to look at those and say, and do a stem count. Our own stem count.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I'll come in.
If they're moving the tester control plots, it would be nice if those were buoyed out so we could do our own independent analysis there.
But that has to be approved by DEP if they're gonna move it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It does. They're gonna
they
move
can't
the
just
test plots. They have to get
gerrymander around
approval
out there,
from
really.
DEP to do that. Because it's in the current order of conditions where those test plots are.
But there was no milfoil in the test plot last year and there's milfoil this year. How are we gonna possibly know whether next year and there's no milfoil, it's due to the treatment or just the fact that there's the milfoil counts are all
But they
over the
aren't
place?
treating anything this year. They have to find an area with 50% milfoil before they can even consider treating.
And do a plant study and then come back next year.
That's conceivable, but they were treating last week, 2 weeks ago at Lake Pontusic in 98-degree weather. Solitude was. Okay, I'm just telling you, two or three things could fall into place quickly. And, in the first year was supposed to be 2020, and then they delayed it a year. They didn't delay it 2 years. I just think we need to.
But they delayed it because they have to still do the plant count.
There wasn't enough there.
They have to find in their test plot areas,
It
50%.
moved the whole time
Yeah.
frame a year. So even if whatever they do this year is what they would have done last year if they could have found some. So before they treat it, it'll be next year again.
Yeah,
Last year, they weren't just doing the count, they were supposed to treat last year.
no,
No.
they can only do the count the first year. And if they find in that test plot area that there is adequate, there is 50% of Erosion milfoil, then next year they can treat it.
All right.
But they,
That's my understanding.
What I'm hearing is that the boat motors started though.
I'm sorry?
Ready to dump the motors.
Well, I don't know if they are or not, I'm just saying. The other lake's
Somebody's
already-
cutting already,
Cutting what?
weeds.
Where?
Stockbridge
What?
hole?
With what, a lawnmower?
I don't know.
Could be.
Are these lily pads?
It could be propellers.
Propellers. But there was a fair amount of plant matter up along the eastern shore.
Oh, yeah, and at White Pines, so the shore's got this much plant, but it could be rotor, motors, but I don't know. Or it could just be somebody's pulling them up.
Yeah, somebody could be dragging some.
Yeah. That's right.
Which they're technically not permitted to do without RDA.
All right. I'll be in tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll talk to Michael tomorrow. I saw Mark on Main Street yesterday.
Mark?
Weber.
Oh.
I couldn't catch up.
Fisher.
I don't know, maybe he was playing tourist, I don't know. All right, let's go back to Beaver Solutions.
Yeah, they were all concerned about the Route 7 and they haven't been here yet.
Did that flood over the weekend? Route 7?
Just a little bit,
A little
not
bit.
too much.
Huh, they were lucky.
They haven't been here yet.
How about dumping on 4 Goodrich Street? What's
you
that?
go
What is that?
That was the one where they were putting the grass clippings into the well, into the stream or something. That's the one where James, what's his name, sent them?
Lawson.
James Lawson, yes.
He keeps sending me these cool pictures of various wildlife that he finds in his property, which is really kind of
It's very
fun.
nice.
He sent me a little green heron picture, a very cute picture of a green heron the other day. So let's sign this and then we can send it out. And once Jackson and I and you look at the,
I'm a little hesitant to sign it until I know, I'll stop by and sign it, but I want to know what the final deal is here.
the thing is, that the only reason that I'm pushing this is because it's got to get done. And if we don't do it like soon, we can't wait for another meeting to do it because we have to, otherwise it's going to be August and it's going to be too late. So right now, what's in there is the language that Natural Heritage put in,
Okay, So it's not
exactly as they put it.
okay. I will sign the language that National Heritage put in.
But again, it's not addressing the notice of intent as it was presented to them. It's last.
The original, it's the
Yeah.
original,
It
okay.
was last year's one. So they did not do their due diligence on this, which is unfortunate because,
Yep, no, I understand.
every week that goes by, there's more weeds and there's more people who are angry and,
Part of the issue is just that, 10 years ago, they had 8 wetland scientists at DEP in Western Division. Now they have 2. And the same thing's going on in Natural Heritage. All the scientists are being gutted from these organizations. There's a backup of 300, 350 enforcement actions in Berkshire County. It's not their fault, but
Federal action.
no, DEP, state actions.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any wetland scientists there anymore. It's 25% of what they had 10 years ago. And I don't know if it's, I don't know how to respond to that other than we can just not harvest this year, but.
That's not what I want to see happen.
because if we don't harvest, then the folks who live around the lake are gonna be hopping mad and they're gonna be screaming for herbicides.
Right.
So if in your conversation with Jackson, you make changes to this, how is that? What he sent them is not what this is, correct?
Right. There's an
Can't they just come
addendum.
and sign it in your garage like you've been doing?
There's an addendum on there, which is special conditions.
Yeah,
That is the language that was given to us by Natural Heritage.
last year.
Yeah, based on last year's filing. So it's not based on this year's filing. So that's the part of the document that may change, and I will send it to everybody as soon as it's finalized, and you can say yay or nay, I will or will not allow my signature to go forward.
Okay, so if you send that, I will go to your garage right after you send it.
Okay.
And sign it.
I lost everything. What's going on at a pool at 27 Church Street?
I don't know.
Anybody
forget
send
what
us
that was
anything,
all
any
about.
information on that?
That came,
Where's that?
she emailed, I thought, a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't hear anything back from her. I told her she was gonna have to
Well,
come in and tell us more about it, and she didn't, so,
Sally, like I say, a pool is just like a structure,
right,
you know, it's considered a building.
yeah.
So we're,
Her point was, my neighbor has one. She said in her email, there's one on the street, so I can have one too, but,
Well, that's not,
right, I'm just saying.
not necessarily.
Church Street.
Is that that cute little greenhouse?
I mean, Church Street's a lot of wetland,
Yeah.
so,
Well, she said, I thought in the email, she said, I know it's adjacent to a wetland, but my neighbor has one.
so it's on the left side,
So
right?
it's on Nomkeg side,
which
right?
possibly.
No, the other side, no, okay. There's
There's one on the Namkig side. I'm pretty sure.
There is?
Yeah.
But 27's on the left, isn't it?
Oh, by the river? The
By the
riverside?
river. By the river. The river comes in pretty close
Yeah, it does.
some places.
Yeah, it's not a given, just because your neighbor has one that you
Yeah.
have one.
And the Footbird Sanctuary.
All right, well,
that the
I don't
dump?
think we've gone any further with that.
Is
Is that the dump?
Yeah, the dumping site.
They still haven't cleaned it up as far as I could see the
I
other day
keep
when I
hearing
went
they're
by.
working at it.
Yeah.
They are, and she's been good about it. A lot of the stuff is gone, like the old, I
Really?
think it's gone. They've had the scrap people come in and take stuff, yeah.
They're working at it.
It looked to me like there was a big pile of
But
stone.
you didn't let it build the
That's
slab
going
there?
to Gould Meadows.
Is it?
We
Okay.
may build a stone wall.
Okay. Well, it's still there because it
Yeah,
was there
it came from
yesterday.
the bridge area and, where the railroad
Curtis Hill
tracks,
Bridge.
yeah, where the railroad tracks go over the bridge there. That's where it came from.
That's what wetlands are for, isn't it? You just dump shit. Sorry. Hopefully that.
You mean like they
doesn't come
took
out
the
on recording.
bridge dirt and put it over Abrick?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that one.
Actually, that came from the sides of the road,
Okay.
supposedly.
No,
Oh, speaking of
Supposedly.
ditches, wait, there's something there.
it was a
That's
lot of
what's
dirt.
communicated to
Do
me.
you know how many dumps were?
I don't know, I saw it.
Oh, there, I know what it is. There's beaver activity apparently over, off of, between Hill Road and 183. And it's causing things to get backed up, but I haven't seen anything about that
Jerry
either.
Johnson's side of the hill road?
Yeah,
That's kind of far in for us to, how?
Maybe it's
How could
karma.
that
but
cause?
it's because of the stream. You know,
That
there's,
stream's always been funky down through there.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, we got,
Yeah, okay.
It's a long way downhill from there.
Yeah.
all right, a motion to adjourn. Time is
Did you
up.
make that motion? I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Somebody has to tell me what
All
time
in
it is.
favor?
8:25.
Oh.
Hi.
27.
Oh, I
Second it? What?
second it.
Anything else though before we adjourn? No?
No.
All in favor?
Let's see, aye.
Hi.
What do you want?